says is very important. As a matter of fact, in Quran chapter 65, verses 8 and 9, Allah says, how many populations that insolently oppose the command of their Lord and his messenger, did we not then call them to account with severe account, and we imposed on them a severe punishment? In a way, Nigeria seems to be paying for the crimes of the past. 3 major trials. Nigeria, our dear country, is interesting. There may be 55 countries in Africa and 195 countries in the world when we exclude less known countries like the Republic of Lakota, Transnistria, Barotseland, Chinland, Abkhazia, Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, Balochistan, and South Ossetia. But there are no 2 countries like Nigeria. Apart from being the largest country of the black race in the world, Nigeria's religious identity is unique in the sense that our 2 faith communities, our major 2 faith communities, are close in number. According to the CIA World Facts Book, last updated on September 20, 2016, Nigeria has a population of 186,053,386 people, with Muslims constituting 50%, Christians 40%, and adherents of indigenous beliefs constituting 10%. The almost equal balance in the 2 major religious identities makes Nigeria to also be facing some challenges with religious issues often made to become a bone of contention. Ethnically, Nigeria is still considered a nation on trial. Nigeria can boast of at least 150 distinct ethnic groups with over 500 languages. At the end of the day, though linguistic identity is one major pedigree of nations, we speak diverse languages, and English language takes the ace. So while the French speak French, the Chinese speak Chinese, the Germans speak German, and the Arabs speak Arabic, Nigerians officially speak English. As a result of this, ethno-linguistic diversity is construed by many Nigerians as a trial or one of the reasons accountable for the state of the nation. Yet, this is not only apparent but not real. The mere fact that the Somalis speak a single language does not make their country peaceful and progressive. Definitely, linguistic plurality and ethnic diversity is not a major problem. There is another interesting peculiarity about Nigeria, and this appertains to taste, which is fueled by corruption. This is summarized by a Nigerian who said, funny Nigerians, when they loot money, they keep it in Switzerland. When they fall sick, they go to Germany. When investing, they go to America. When buying mansions, they visit London. When shopping, they go to Dubai. When on holiday, they visit Paris or the Bahamas. When educating their children, they select Europe. But when they die, they all want to be buried in Nigeria. Please help me ask them, is Nigeria a cemetery? Fortunately, the corruption profile of Nigeria is reducing drastically thanks to the efforts of the present government in waging war against it. From being the most corrupt country in the world, a few years back, Nigeria is even not in the list of the 10 most corrupt countries according to the data released this year. Apart from the problems highlighted above, like ethnicity, religion, there are some other problems that we are all familiar with that continue to put Nigeria at the edge of a cliff. Now, faith to the rescue. Ordinarily, Nigeria is a religious country, judging from the commitment of many Nigerians to their faith. However, the extent to which faith reflects in our character and actions leaves less to be desired. The bitter truth is that religious people and non-religious people alike have contributed immensely to the rot and decadence that the present government is trying hard to clear. Many people claim religion are chichi-dodos. In his critically acclaimed novel, The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born, 1968, Ayekwe Ama tells us what the chichi-dodo is. I quote, you know, the chichi-dodo is a bird The chichidodo hates excrement with all its soul, but the chichidodo only feeds on maggots. And you know the maggots grow best inside the lavatory. This is the chichidodo. The world still remembers how certain characters use the garb of religion to siphon the money meant for the procurement of arms to fight criminals and thereby secure lives, precious lives and property. There are 5 ways, in my opinion, since this is the 5th decade of our independence, that faith and sincere belief in the Almighty Allah can help to rescue Nigeria from its present challenges. It is incontrovertible that for change to occur, we all have to change, as Allah tells us in the glorious Quran. Therefore, the slogan of change beginning with us is quite Quranic. Allah says in Quran chapter 13, verse 11, that's Surah Turat, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma bi qawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah does not change a people's lot unless they change what is in their hearts. Many Nigerians today are blinded by their ethnicity, and it is as if they consciously selected the ethnic groups to which they are affiliated. But religion, especially Islam, makes us to realize that ethnic differentiation is just for identity formation. For the ethnic jingoist, the world is for them only, and there should be no peace for others. Just as no one chose his parents, no one chose to belong to any ethnic group. In Quran chapter 49, verse 13, we are made to understand that the rationale for ethnic plurality is for us to identify one another. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, yeah, are you an us? Okay, I go to translation. O mankind, we have created you male and female, and we have made you nations and tribes so that you may know one another. Surely, the best among you is the most pious. The Prophet also alluded to that when he said that an Arab is not superior to a non-Arab except with faith. So we are all equal in the sight of the Creator. One concept that Nigerians have to imbibe is Ubuntu, which loosely translates as I am because you are, and denounce the virus of selfishness as evident in the innocence of an African village. The story was told of an anthropologist who proposed a game for a group of African children in a village. He put a basket of fruits near a tree and told the children that whoever got there first will win the sweet fruits. When he told them to run, they all took each other's hands and ran together. Then they sat enjoying the fruits together. When he asked them why they ran like that as one, when one of them could have actually got the fruit for himself, one girl replied, how can one of us be happy if all the of Ubuntu that Nigerians have to imbibe based on the Quranic teachings as a function of our ethnic diversity? Then religious understanding. As indicated earlier, many Nigerians proclaim religion today without actually understanding it or manifesting faith. The fundamental teachings of all religions in the world is love and doing good. There is beauty in diversity, as there is convergence in divergence. When we take our religious differences, for example, if we have the right attitude, we'll appreciate that the purpose of all religions is to do good. In Islam, the Prophet ﷺ told us that la yaqmal imanu ahadikum hatta yuhibba li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi, that none of you will truly believe until he wishes for others what he wishes for himself. The same message is in Christianity, where Jesus, peace be upon him, said, in everything, do to others as you will have them do to you, for this is the law of the prophet. That is in Matthew 7:12. Also, while you have quotes, what is hateful to you, do not do it to your neighbor. This is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. That is in Hillel Talmud, Sabbath 31a. We also have in Buddhism, in Udana Vaga chapter 5, verse 18, that treat not others in ways that you yourself will find hurtful. The same idea espoused above resonates in several branches of African traditional religion. It is by having a religious understanding that we can tackle the problems and overcome the trials and challenges of today. The need of the day is resonant in the words of Gotham Ephraim Lessing, who said, "There are good men in every land. The tree most we presume to think that it alone has sprung from the mother earth. We did not choose our races by ourselves. Jews, Muslims, Christians, all alike are men. Let me hope I have found in you a man." In essence, anyone who is not good has lost the right to being faithful. Thirdly, moral recovery. The chairman, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, during the heady days leading to the commencement of the Second World War, European countries started to rearm themselves militarily in preparation for the dire situation ahead. However, Frank Buchmann jolted the sensibilities of world leaders that military rearmament was not the only solution to the impending calamity. He therefore launched a campaign for moral rearmament at the East Ham Town Hall in London on May 29, 1938. The opinion of Buchmann about moral recovery has assumed greater importance in our world of today. According to him, the crisis of recession confronting the world is fundamentally a moral one. Therefore, nations must rearm morally. Moral recovery is essentially the forerunner of economic recovery because moral recovery creates not crisis, but confidence and unity in every phase of life. That Nigeria today is facing moral Armageddon is one thing that we can all attest to. There are heart-rending crimes committed with impunity by many Nigerians as if there is no accountability. Evils that could have brought complete destruction upon people are now a living reality in shrines where human beings are slaughtered, camps where young girls are impregnated with their babies stolen. Faith offers us a platform to reset our priorities with a view to knowing that we are vicegerents of the Almighty Allah on this earth, and we are all accountable for our actions. Faith certainly holds the key to letting Nigerians know the purpose of life, which is to worship the Creator and serve His creation. 4, negation of obsessive materialism. There is also a need for value orientation among many Nigerians today. There is an incredible level of obsession with material wealth against all norms and ethics of religions among us. These obsessions make many people to become selfish, greedy, hence corrupt. The world has been shocked by the humongous amounts of money stashed away by those who have been privileged to occupy some positions of authority in this country in the past. Faith definitely has the potential to make us all return to a life of simplicity and sincerity. Faith makes us realize that whatever we meet in this world belongs to this world. And at the end of the day, everything we assemble is subject to the destruction of time. If time destroys everything, what is the essence of the mansions and other property Nigerians corruptly amass? In his book, The Myth of Sisyphus, Albert Camus presents us the dilemma of man and the futility of his toils. He compares man and his existence to the life of Sisyphus, who spent all his life rolling a big stone up a high hill. Sisyphus started each day rolling up the stone with all his nerves and energy. And when it eventually succeeded in rolling the stone up the hill, the stone will roll down. An unfortunate man, he will start again and the stone will roll down after a lot of sweat and toil. Sisyphus was doing it every day, rolling up the stone, stone falling, rolling it up again and again until he died. Sisyphus really worked hard. But then desperate to have them at the expense of morality is bad. It is the obsessive materialism of a few Nigerians that has led to corruption, the devastating consequences of which negatively impacts on the country. Faith in the Almighty God will make one realize that we came with nothing to this world and we are living with nothing. realization of life's vanity. In his book, The Truth of the Life of This World, Arun Yahya tells us that time destroys everything. A fruit gradually darkens and finally decays from the moment it is plucked from its branch. The scent of flowers fills our rooms only for a limited period. Soon their colors fade. The prettiest face wrinkles after a few decades. The effects of years on skin and the green of hairs make the pretty face no different from those of other elderly people. In brief, everything surrounding us is subject to the ravages of time. The implication of this is that Nigerians should be conscious of whatever they assemble, time will eventually scatter. But if you have faith to realize the vanity of life and the ultimate uselessness and senselessness of killing, stealing, and destroying, we will be more reflective. Conclusion. Contrary to the apocalyptic prediction that Nigeria will end last year as a corporate entity, the country emerged stronger and better. The outcome of last year's election was not by accident. It was faith at work, as Nigerians worked hard, believing that they deserved a better deal from their leaders, and they prayed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted the prayers. Today, Nigeria may not have attained her full potential, and life may be difficult for many people. With faith in the Almighty and the confidence we repose in our leaders, Nigeria will certainly emerge victorious. With our collective commitment to peace and development, patience and productivity, the trials of today will evidently become blessings in disguise. Lastly, if Nigeria appears to be a nation on trial, we must appreciate that trials are part of life. In Quran chapter 29, verses 1 and 2, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that do mankind, or do people think they are going to be left alone, claiming that they believe without them being tested and tried? We should appreciate that the trials and challenges we encounter are for 5 purposes. Trials are to direct, to inspect, to protect, to correct, and to perfect the tried. May the Almighty Allah direct our course, inspect us with mercy, protect us from harm, correct us with his forgiveness, and perfect our faith in him. I want to end by appreciating the leadership of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs under the able leadership of His Eminence for giving me this opportunity. And I'm to announce that this presentation will be uploaded on the NSCIA website within the next 24 hours. So hard copies are not available at the moment. I thank you very much for your attention.
That has been a very resounding lecture tracing Nigeria's nationhood journey, its abundant human and material which the country is blessed with, by Professor Dr. Mahfouz Adedimeji of the University of Ilorin. The topic of the lecture is The Nation on Trial, First to the Rescue. According to the scholars, such blessings of Nigeria are neglected to the detriment of the nation. This, he said, are the major cause of what the country found itself of. The scholars said the problems are not peculiar to Nigeria, but that that of Nigeria is unique because of its place in the world map in terms of population and religious beliefs. To sum it all, the scholar, in line with the topic of the lecture, The Nation on Trial First to the Rescue, maintains that faith is really the solution to the problems, and followers must act positively and review their faith. According to the program, next to talk is goodwill message from the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who is represented by Minister of Sports and Youth Development, Barrister Solomon Dalo.
Information and Culture to give his 2 minutes goodwill message. After him will be that of Interior, and then Communication, Water Resources, Works, Power and Housing, and then Minister of State Environment. Honorable Minister for Information, sir. Allahu Akbar.
A little change in the program. We are going to have a goodwill message from the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed.
Represented here by the Minister for Youth and Sports and His Eminence, the chairman of this occasion, kindly permit me to adopt all existing protocol. I thought we came here actually to listen and to hear from you and to learn from you. But if His Eminence says we should speak for 2 minutes, I think we don't have a choice than to oblige. I must say that the lecture has actually struck a particular chord with what this government stands for. The reason why this nation today is at crossroads is precisely because we failed to adhere to certain basic moral precepts. And I want to see this opportunity also to thank His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, for his courage to come out to commend Mr. President when the Change Begins With Me campaign was launched. When the Change Begins With Me campaign was launched, many Nigerians were very cynical. As a matter of fact, they asked that Mr. President ought first to have delivered the change he promised Nigerians before he asked them to change their attitude. But as we've been told today, Almighty Allah Himself said that He will not change the fortunes of a nation until they change their hearts, until they change the ways they behave. When people say the government ought to wait for this crisis, this economic, recession to be resolved or overcome before the Change Begins With Me campaign takes effect, my answer has always been, if only past administrations have imbibed this campaign, we will not be where we are today. It's precisely because impunity, corruption, and rule of arbitrary, rules were prevalent in successful administrations. This is why we got ourselves to where we are today. And there's no better way of getting out of this difficult situation until we change the way we think, until we change the way we treat public properties, until we change the way we treat public assets. I do not believe that the Change Begins With Me campaign is actually putting any extra burden on any Nigerian. What does the campaign say? The campaign simply says, be honest, be truthful. Don't destroy government properties. patronize made in Nigerian goods, don't sell fake drugs, don't drive under the influence of alcohol. These are basically what this campaign is talking about. It actually does not add anybody to any Nigeria. On the contrary, what it says is that we should please go back to those values that were cherished in society. I want to round up also by saying that to appeal again once to our leaders, our religious leaders, because you are the closest to the grassroots. Please, we are available and would avail you of what is going on in government at any given time. What we cannot afford is a disconnect between us and you, which will automatically lead to a disconnect between us and the government. I thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, who used the opportunity to stress the need for total adherence to religious teachings and morals which are needed to come out of problems facing Nigeria. As a champion of the Change Begins With Me campaign, the minister said there is need for Nigerians to lead in the change of attitude by being honest, truthful, and avoid all societal ills. Next to give his goodwill message is the Minister of Interior.
The Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto, distinguished members of the High Table, my colleagues, honorable ministers, distinguished guests. First, I want to seize this opportunity to appreciate the Nigerian Council for Islamic Affairs for organizing this lecture, which I understand is the very first time it's been done on this occasion. And of course, the topic itself is apt. Nation on Trial, of the topic of the lecture. But I want to say that every nation, every generation, every individual from time to time faces such trial. And the remarks by His Eminence the Sultan provides the kind of response we require to make when we are faced by such trials. That is, walk and pray. In terms of work, I believe the three focused areas of this government, that is enhancing security, revitalizing the economy, and tackling corruption, provides the platform for which we can concentrate on our work. And of course, the issue of prayers or pray, we have that platform already, either as Muslims or as Christians or whatever religion you believe in. So I believe that the opportunity is there for us to face this trial, and the solutions are there if we use the platforms provided. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Barrister Adebayo Shitu, Minister of Communication.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The Vice President, presented by Barrister Solomon Dalong, a leader, the Amir al-Mu'minin, Royal Highness, our father from Nupeland, all other highnesses, my colleagues, honorable ministers, brothers in this hall, and sisters. I'm happy there are sisters here. I want to thank the organizers for this opportunity to make a word or two, and to say that the speech of both the Sultan of Sokoto and Amir al-Mu'minin of Nigerian Muslims and that of the keynote speaker speak volumes. I think that beyond putting these speeches and texts on the internet, it is important for these to be reduced to booklets that people who don't have access to the internet can have and over time and try to imbibe the lessons. Having said that, I want to say that it is very good for us to have meetings like this. It is also very important for us to appreciate that with the situation of Muslims in this country, it is said that Muslims are about 50% of the population. But if you look at the poverty index, Muslims are about 90% of the poverty index in this country. If you look at the basic indices you can look at are this. Look at the number of people doing menial jobs in this country, from guards to Okada riders to taxi drivers to bricklayers, all the menial jobs. 90 to 95% of them are Muslims. And that, for me, it throws a very big challenge for organizations which unite us as Muslims in this country, the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. I appreciate that we do have occasions for moralizing. But I think beyond moral platitudes, with due respect to everybody, we need to also challenge government as the organization that unites the largest number of Muslims in this country. The challenging government in the sense of giving government alternatives to poverty alleviation. It will not be out of place, for instance, for suggestions. If we look, for instance, at the time General Abacha was leader of this country, he wanted to introduce a price increase to petroleum. And Nigerians demanded that the excess in the income must be tied to specific projects. And for that, the government at that time introduced the PTF. We know that the PTF impacted positively to education, in regards to roads, in regard to health services and all of that. I think that the Supreme Council should respond to the current challenges of poverty by challenging government to bring in programs, specific programs that would face or challenge poverty. I'm not saying the government is not yet doing that, but I think that we desire and we deserve collaboration from the Supreme Council on the specific project that you think would meet the challenges of poverty which majority of Muslims are currently facing. The last point I want to make is in regard to our Islam. It is again said that Muslims are about 50%. If we have only 1% of that 50% who are truly conscious Muslims, who know what Islam is, and who are not just mere claimants to Islam, their behaviors at work, on the streets, in various setups, would be a sufficient reflection to impact positively, and have the effect of, our greater dawah. What we have today, more or less, we have mere claimants to Islam. I do not want to say it is our dawah efforts that is not sufficient enough, but I think this is a way, this is a direction that we should look at, so that the teachings of Islam can be better internalized, so that we would truly reflect the Quranic message, which says that the Muslims are the best of communities ever created mankind, within mankind. Having said this, I want to thank you again for this opportunity and to say Assalamu alaikum and congratulations on the occasion of the 56th anniversary of our independence. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Don't clap. Maybe we should be saying the takbir. Allahu Akbar. He ended.
Goodwill messages to pouring in from the honorable ministers who are attending this very important lecture marking the 56th independence anniversary of Nigeria. Don't forget the topic of the lecture is the national trial, first to the rescue. The message we just listened to was from the Minister of Communications, Mr. Adebayo Shitu, who stressed the need for well-to-do people to provide alternatives to government in fighting poverty. He also stressed the need to complement government bodies such as Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs to come up with alternatives by introducing programs that will supplement those introduced by government in reducing the issue of poverty and hunger in the land.
Eminence, Sultan of Sokoto, Namirul Mumineen, our royal fathers, colleagues, ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I have very little to say in 2 minutes, but I would like to say that if the way we flock to churches and mosques in Nigeria, if a huge amount of people that you see on Fridays and on weekends attending mosques and churches, if we were to put the true faith, what we are being taught to test and to practice, I don't think Nigeria would be where it is today. But we go to mosque, we go to church, but we come back, we abdicate all our responsibilities, which start right from the home. As parents, we no longer imbibe values to our children. We do not carry the values of the religion to our workplaces, our neighbors, keepers, our brothers keepers. I think all these things crystallized and made this country where it brought us where we are today. And I therefore welcome the quotation by the lecturer in which Allah has enjoined us and made it very clear to us that He will not change us until we change ourselves. So, bearing that in mind, we as a people must begin to really, really imbibe the values that our faiths have given to us and continue to practice as they should be. I often wonder, I go to some countries, especially in Europe, where these days, these countries were built on Christianity, for instance, but these days they have jettisoned Christian values and so on. But still, the way they relate with people, the way they take care of their citizens, the way they adhere to rule of law and discipline, which are all, attributes of a good Muslim and a good Christian. We claim in Nigeria to be a religious people. We are the largest mosque goers probably in the world. We are the largest church goers in the world, but you find these things absent. I think we need to really have a rethink. Recently, I went to an event. Every time we go to these events, we start with national anthem, we close with national anthem. The words there are very potent, the words in our national anthem. And one day I was compelled to ask people, I said, okay, we always come here, we sing the national anthem. Do we really think through what we are singing? It's the same that goes with our religious scriptures, with our Quran, with the hadiths, and with our Bibles and other. Please put our teachings, the teachings of our faiths into practice. And within this short, I also like to seize this opportunity to wish us a happy New Year during this weekend. As Muharram is coming in the next 2 days. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
The encouraging goodwill message there from the Minister of Water Resources, Alhaji Suleiman Husseini Adamu. Expectedly, this lecture will end before the Jumat prayer, as all people gathered here will move to the National Mosque for a special Jumat prayer, all as part of activities to celebrate this great feat of 56 years of independence. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigeria's Armed Forces, Muhammad Buhari, former past leaders and other national leaders are expected at the Jumat prayer, all to take place at this national mosque. Next to deliver his good news message is Minister of Works, Power and Housing, Raji Babatunde Fashola.
The Vice President, represented by the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, Your Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, Your Eminence the Tsunupe, distinguished members of the front table, Honorable Ministers, service chiefs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am not a professor. My only title is Mr. and my professional title as a senior advocate. Let me use the opportunity of this gathering to felicitate with Nigerians, with our president, with all our leaders, as our nation attains another anniversary in its progressive journey of existence, and perhaps say that with every year of maturity, of anniversary, should come some maturity. Let me also ask us, as we mature, to recognize and to acknowledge the service of all of those who have come before us, those who fought for the independence of this country, those who shed their blood, who paid the supreme sacrifice to keep us together. Let me especially use this opportunity to acknowledge our service chiefs, our military and paramilitary officers who wear the uniform as a sign of commitment that they would always be ready to pay the supreme sacrifice to defend all of us. I thank you on behalf of Nigerians. I acknowledge all our police officers, service personnel, men who stay awake so that we can sleep. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe that in spite of the challenges that our nation faces, there are enormous opportunities there. But perhaps the biggest ingredient is how to build consensus. And I think that it will be easier to build consensus if we put our membership of the Nigerian family first before our religious and other affiliations. And I think that this has been spoken to admirably, not only in the lecture, but also in the remarks by His Eminence, the Chairman. All I wish to finally say is that those of us who are privileged to serve remain committed and dedicated to continue to do our best to make life better, to address the challenges that face Nigerians, to seek for opportunities where there are challenges, and to keep our eyes focused on the promise of a better tomorrow. I think as a nation, if we build consensus on the future, if we approach the future with courage and with dedication, with the belief that it will be better, we will witness that glorious dawn. Assalamu alaikum.
Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Babatunde Raji Fashola. Thank you. And Takbir. If we face the future with courage and determination, it will be better. Lastly, Alhaji Ibrahim Usman Jibrin, Minister of State Environment.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. A representative of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Amirul Mu'minin, Royal Highnesses, colleague ministers, service chiefs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me thank the chairman of this occasion and His Eminence, the Amirul Mu'minin, for giving us this opportunity to present ourselves and give our goodwill messages. Nigeria has come of age. We are celebrating the 56th independence anniversary, and within this period, a lot of water has passed under the bridge. We have seen a lot of the good things in this country, we have also seen the challenges. But our belief is that problems are meant to be solved. And I think the government of President Buhari has the wherewithal to face the challenges that we are currently facing. And with faith and with God on our side, we believe we can make impact. As some artists said, faith can move mountain. And I think Nigeria of today and the citizens are people of faith. And since we have faith in the Almighty God, we believe He will not let us down. We believe He can make us do a lot of good things. He will make us do what we have not done before. He will make us look inward, find out where we have gone wrong and how to right the wrong. With proper and able leadership, such as the one that is being provided now by His Eminence, we think we can make impact. We thank this important gathering, the first of its kind that we've witnessed here, and I hope and pray that this shall be the beginning of more of such gathering that will make us look inward, think positively, and make impact on our society. We thank His Eminence and his team for organizing the event, and we do hope that the results of this gathering today shall be disseminated to the wider population so that the impact will be felt at a greater level. Let us learn to be our brothers' keepers. Let us remember our neighbors that may not have the means that we have. Let us realize that we are privileged and there are others that are not so privileged. Let's move our hands together to assist the less privileged. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the faith, the courage, and the confidence to move this nation forward. Thank you, Your Eminence.
Takbir. May the outcome
authority reaching you live from the National Mosque, where we are bringing to you a special public lecture to commemorate the 56th independence anniversary of Nigeria. Next in the lineup is a special message from a special guest of honor with the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, represented by Minister of Sports and Youth Development, Barrister Solomon Dalo.
Amir Mumuni, the Sultan of Sokoto. Royal Highnesses here present, Ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, service chiefs, distinguished Nigerians, ladies and gentlemen, invited and especially the uninvited guests. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, wanted to be here personally, but he had to travel this morning to Zamfara to respond to other pressing state matters. And he directed me to represent him, and his shoes are too big for me to wear. That I will attempt to relate his goodwill message. Famous, the Vice President congratulates Nigeria on the anniversary of 56 years of independence. And he wishes this great country of ours more prosperous years ahead. The Vice President of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs for organizing this lecture. The lecture is apt, coming on the last Friday of the month in the Islamic calendar. Of course, the guest lecturer had indeed done justice to the issues under review, especially bringing to bear those issues that affect us as a country. He has also drawn our attention on the need to reflect on those issues and adapt to the realities of today. The federal government of Nigeria, in coming to terms with some of the issues raised by the guest lecturer, had this program, Change Begins With Me. And the Minister of Information had provided the core components of what it takes to embark on the advocacy of change, beginning with me. I think Nigerians will need to come to a national consensus on some of these issues, especially the question of religion, the question of unity, in all this, our leaders in this country in the past had either been Muslims or Christians. We've not been fortunate to be ruled by an atheist or a traditionalist. Therefore, the burden now is where lies the role of our faith in leadership. And this is where the topic under discussion is very, very key. Christians have been leaders in this country, and Muslims have been leaders in this country. And we all profess one God. We believe in God, and we believe in the values of our religion. And of the values of the both religion, none has accommodation for corruption, None has accommodation for discrimination. None has accommodation for looting and stashing away of national wealth. None of these religions guaranteed anybody life here forever. So it is important that as leaders, we must limit our conduct to the values of our religion. We must love our country. We must support leadership. We must work for the progress of this country. We have no any other country than Nigeria. This is the opinion of the Vice President, and I will conclude with my own opinion as Solomon Dalung, that I believe in Nigeria, and I believe that our problem is neither religion nor ethnicity. But the problem of Nigeria is bad leadership, the absence of leadership. And it is this vacuum of the absence of leadership that is replaced by manipulation of either religion or ethnicity. I have wondered so many times, what is the religion of hunger and what is the tribe of poverty? In all these are common to our people. Therefore, we need to go back to the basics. And I agree with Amir Mumuni for arguing that once there is wrongdoing, the person should be responsible in his name. You don't need to impute his religion to generalize the wrongdoing in order to go against a community. Because the act of criminality cannot be generalized easily. We are deep into these things that it is even difficult in this country to a common criminal in the market. As I used to know, you could see criminals, anybody who has stolen, he will be attacked in the market, he will be beaten. But it's difficult to do that today. Because the moment somebody steals something in the market and you go for him, he looks at the environment and discovers that the environment is favorable to him. All he needs to do is to say, in Jesus' name. And the Christians there will just surround and say, Karyane. And then they will back him. Even though he will be holding the stolen property in his hands, and it is the same thing if he's a Muslim. All it takes for him to escape is to say Allahu Akbar. And the Muslims there will rally around and say, oh, the Christians are against the Muslim. Meanwhile, the man is a thief who has stolen. So what is Islamic about what he has done, or what is Christian about what he has done? I think there is a need for Nigerians to come to consensus on this issue. And I will appeal that national discourse like this should be continued, not only at national levels. It should be done at the state levels. It should be done at the local government levels. It should be done even at villages and traditional council. Let us discuss these issues and agree on it. What role will they play in moving this country forward? I conclude by thanking God for providing this country this time a leader in the person of President Muhammadu Buhari. Muhammadu Buhari, today as president, is a rallying point for Nigerians to come together and appreciate God and build a country where our children can be proud of. This is a man that approached the issue of leadership so many times, but he wasn't tired. And if there is anything we can say is the hand of God, it is in his leadership. God has brought him this time, and we can see the responses of the world. When he went to the United Nations, he was appreciated as a credible leader who is doing a good thing in Nigeria. So Nigerians, the world has said the president is doing a good thing. Let us appreciate him so that the country can move forward. Before I warn my Sid Amir Momuni, I will want to appeal to the Christians and the Muslims to go back the covenant of St. Catherine as it relates to the protection of the rights and privileges of Christians living within Islamic community. And to the Christians, I will also appeal that we should not abandon this provision of the Bible that says, love your neighbor as yourself. And Christians had always misinterpreted the provision of a neighbor to mean a fellow Christian is a neighbor. A fellow Christian is not a neighbor, he's a brother. A neighbor is that man who does not share the same faith with you. And so neighbors here refers to the Muslims. We must love them as we love ourselves. Once we do this, then there is Christianity in us. Anything shortfall of this is unacceptable, is un-Christianic, and it cannot be accepted. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless Nigeria.
And as resounding and encouraging words from the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, being represented by the Minister of Youth and Sports, Barrister Solomon Dalong. The Vice President's message reminded Nigerians of religious doctrines and teachings, which he said will be solution to myriad of problems our society is facing in Nigeria. According to the Vice President, no religion promotes corruption, no religion promotes violence, and no religion condones indiscipline. So Nigeria's problem, he said, is not religion, but religious manipulation.
On behalf of His Eminence, the leader of the Nigerian Muslims, on behalf of all Nigerian Muslims, we want to thank the Vice President of this great country for being here. Similarly, we thank all of us, leaders who have found time to be here, the ministers, the representative of the secretary to the government of the federation, our service chiefs and others. May Almighty Allah reward us abundantly. It is left for me to say that we'll be moving from here, those of us who are Muslims, to the National Mosque. But while we will perform ablution on the way, immediately after the closing prayer, we will have the national anthem. Therefore, I invite the person to give the closing prayer, Barrister Arun Aja from Ebonyi, to come for the closing prayer. He's a distinguished scholar of Islam, a graduate of University of Medina.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The closing prayer. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد المجيد. Nigeria at 56 is a nation on trial. Therefore, let us seek Almighty Allah's intervention and ask Him to forgive our sins, glories of this country, and also change our conditions in this nation for better and to the best. May Almighty Allah grant our leaders the wisdom, the guidance to rule and govern this country with the fear of Allah. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المحيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا لا تحمل علينا إسرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Salam.
Kindly, please remain seated until the dignity.
It appears this is where we will come to the end of the first phase of the special 56th Independence Anniversary Program here at the National Mosque. But Muslim faithfuls are expected to move to the inner mosque for the Jumat prayer, which will take place in some minutes to come.
Obey to serve our fatherland with faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Thank you very much. Please remain seated until the dignitaries on the high table leave. And Atakbir. Kindly remain seated, please. Allow the dignitaries to leave. So, thank you very much, everybody. Assalamu alaikum.